What's up, guys? It's your boy Jordan back with another video, and today we're going to be sharing an in-depth case study on how my friend Matt took a branded Shopify store to over 500K in 14 days in December. We're going to be sharing exactly how he built that infrastructure, exactly what he did on the ad side of things, and how you guys can go out there and replicate these results. So before we get started with this case study, Matt, could you give them a little introduction about yourself and kind of how you got started with e-com and how you got to this level?
Yeah, so I've been doing e-com for about 2 years now. My very first successful e-commerce store was a general store. That store saw, it was about a 7-figure total revenue for the store, but it failed very, very quickly. We pretty much went from doing 20K a day to absolutely nothing in a matter of a couple days. And that was just because we got a ton of bad feedback from the customers, which shut down our Facebook manager. And then we had a lot of chargebacks coming in too, which shut down our merchant account. So we went from running a very successful, which what we thought was a successful store at the time, to going to completely making absolutely no money right after that in a matter of a couple days. So learning that lesson is pretty tough, like having to deal with all that negative stuff that comes with it. But I learned a couple of really important lessons that helped me just create a solid brand this year, which is what I want to do. I basically, after that, lesson I learned, I wanted to come back and do things the right way and really see success in the way that would actually last for a long term, not for a couple months. So that's when I got with Jordan, and him and I basically worked on a store together. He helped me out to really brand a store the proper way, and that's what I did this past year. And because of that, because I focused on the proper infrastructure and really built things up the right way from the start, I was able to scale up to about 40K a day consistently. I'm going to show you guys right now. I'm going to refresh the page real quick. We're doing about 40K a day consistently for the first 2 weeks of December.
Did about 500K in just 14 days,
yeah,
520K.
520, yeah, you guys can see right here that the results are 100% legit. So that's what we're going to show you guys today. We're going to be just talking about how you guys can do this yourselves. Really just take the knowledge that I've learned and Jordan has learned and apply it to your own business and do things the right way.
Yeah, so we don't want to put any fluff. We don't want to make this video too long. We want to make this as in-depth as possible. So Matt, let's just go ahead and get this thing started.
Let's do it.
We're going to make this as in-depth as possible and include as much as we possibly can so that you guys can go out there and apply this to your own business. And before we get started with this, I just want to talk about some of the important factors on why you should be building a brand. One of the first things to talk about is that it increases your barrier of entry. Like in your example with your store, if somebody wanted to come compete against you for this product, it's tough, right?
Yeah, it's very tough. At this point in time, we've really established ourselves as a solid brand in the niche that we're in. So it's going to be a lot harder for somebody to come in and start from zero, not really having any experience in the niche either, and start to even barely compete with us. So that's the really important part of building a brand, which is what we're going to be diving into in this case study.
Yeah, no doubt. And not to mention, it's also significantly more scalable than traditional dropshipping just based off these factors alone. When you become the authority in your niche, you're going to be seeing higher conversion rate. You're going to be seeing organic purchases. You're going to be able to sell your products for more and bundle things into there to increase the AOV. And the best part is that if you do things the right way, customers actually enjoy shopping with you. They come back to buy again. They leave a positive experience. And these are the things that unlock massive scale. And this is why brand building can be so powerful. And not to mention, you have the potential for an exit. I mean, that's really the goal with this store that you're running right now. And this is something that's pretty much impossible with a general store dropshipping. Not that it can't be done, but it's pretty tough. So this is kind of how things should be going down. Like I said, if you focus on branding, you're going to increase your moat around the product and make it harder for someone to compete. You're going to be able to squeeze the most money out of your product by creating trust, a good shopping experience, and maximizing your funnel. Like, for example, a lot of you guys are going out there with these Charmander level stores, and when somebody comes in with a Charizard, a fully optimized platform, a branded product, fast shipping times, they're going to blow you out of the water, and you're not even going to be able to compete. And even without ads, you're the go-to seller for this product, and you're going to continue to get sales on autopilot. We're going to talk a little bit more later about this in this video, but with your store, your sales are not fully coming from ads. You're getting organic traffic in.
Yeah, we're seeing a good amount of sales coming in. I think it was about 20% in December of sales came just from organic traffic, which was just Google search. People looking up the brand, people trying to figure out. Word of mouth. Yeah, word of mouth advertising. People who have already bought in the past as well. That was, going into our organic sales for the month.
For sure. So the easiest path to building a brand, in our opinion, is kind of use dropshipping with a general store or a broad niche store as your entry point, because this is exactly what Matt did. This is exactly what I've done. And what this does for you is it builds your cash flow, it builds your experience and your skill set, and it allows you to test to kind of identify a potential product to move forward with building a brand around. Now, you don't have to go this route. Like Matt, for example, he didn't test a bunch of products and find this one and then brand it, but he did build a general store first. And if you didn't have built that store, building your brand would have been like,
I learned the hard lessons with a general store. You know, that's what happens is like it's kind of like your practice store. It's kind of like getting the warm up for e-com. Like when you're really starting out in the very beginning, like starting a brand is going to be a lot more difficult because there's a lot of things you just don't know how to do. Yeah. So honestly, starting out with a general store is probably the best way to go if you're an absolute beginner. This is what I did. It's what a lot of my friends have done and who have built successful brands have done. So I would do that, honestly. And like if I didn't do that, I really would have not been able to figure out how to properly brand, how to properly scale a store the right way. And obviously branding, you tighten up your systems, you're able to optimize your sales funnel, your products, and everything about your whole entire structure is very solid, so that when you send customers through your funnel, you're able to maximize the amount of money that comes with that customer. Instead of them spending just $20 on your store, they can spend a lot more money than just that.
Absolutely. So listen, you guys came to this video to see exactly what Matt did to scale this, and we've actually broken it down into 6 different components. So we're going to go through each of these one by one as in-depth as we possibly can. And the first one that we're going to talk about is proven product selection. We're going to talk about the criteria that goes into selecting a product, and we're going to do that right now. So this is exactly how Matt went out there and found this product that he was selling. You could actually talk a little bit about this system.
So the first thing I was doing was I was basically looking for trending products with room for improvement. This is probably one of the most important things to keep in mind. This is probably one of the most important things to keep in mind when you're starting out, trying to figure out what kind of brand you want to start. That's what I did. I basically did a ton of research in the beginning. I was looking at different competitors. I was looking at different ads. I was looking at different niches, just trying to see like which field of, which products I could basically take onto my store and brand it and really just, surpass everybody else who's competing against me. So that's one of the things you got to keep in mind. And that's what comes with, a lot of practice and a lot of testing. If you do have a general store, if you start with a general store, you're going to have a better eye for that type of stuff. Yeah. And really just seeing where the room for improvement is going to come in.
And we're going to talk about room for improvement a little bit more in the next slide. But when it comes to actually spotting trending products and finding these products, that's not really the hard part. Listen, there's so many tools and strategies out there to go out there and find trending products. It's not the challenge. The challenge is deciding which products to test, which products have the most room for improvement, and which products actually have the most potential. When it comes to spotting trending products, these are a couple methods that we like to use and have been using for literally years. They still work. Using the Facebook and Instagram feeds is always working. It's never going to stop working. Using product research softwares like mine or eCom Hunt, these are good options as well for finding trends. I think where a lot of people go wrong is that they use these softwares and then they just copy everything that's on there and just cross their fingers, where the real strategy is from figuring out what's working and figuring out how you can do it better or different. And also the AliExpress Dropshipping Center is a pretty good tool as well. But realistically, you don't need a ton of strategies to find products. Like for finding your product, which method did it really take? Like
I was honestly just looking on Facebook, I was looking on Instagram, and I was seeing the type of products other people were selling. And then once I would find one product, I would basically have a list of the different products I was finding. And then I would go and do a bunch of research just in that niche, like Google search, trying to figure out if their competitors are popping up on Google, what kind of revenue they're doing, how many, website visitors they're getting every month, stuff like that. It gives you an idea of like how big your competition is. You also look at like, their entire store setup, see how, if they're even branding the product at all, because a lot of people are just running general stores. So that's something you can easily just improve on and take over.
For sure. So when it comes to deciding which products to test, we already touched on this a little bit, but the only time it's worth testing a product, and I stand by this tenfold, is if you can improve upon that product. Listen, if you can't, if you just want to copy another store, that's not going to say that you can't make money doing that, right? But if you want to make the most money off a product, if you want to scale the product to the masses level that it can get, you have to improve upon what your competition is doing. When it comes to finding your room for improvement, these right here are my 3 favorite things, is looking for products that are trending that are not branded. So if you're able to go out there and brand that product, when you run ads and compete with that person, you're going to be having the cards in your deck because you're going to be getting a higher conversion rate and a higher AOV. Not to mention as well, a lot of these guys are running with non-maximized funnels, you know. They're having super low AOV. They're not getting any bundles. They're not getting any upsells, and you can spend more money on ads than them. When it comes to you with your product that you're selling, what was the thing that you noticed?
The thing that I mainly noticed was like there's a lack of a lack of content. People in the niche weren't really going in depth with the content. They weren't
just
really
using like AliExpress.
Yeah, they were just using exactly like AliExpress videos. They're using the same exact video over and over again, just recycling it. And you know, obviously there weren't like that many people that were actually seeing success with it because it was just recycled content that was coming back over and over again. And on top of that, a lot of people had very, very like poor quality brands. That's another thing to keep in mind too, is like even if they have a brand around their product, it's very good if you can tell how solid their brand is and really see like how you can improve the brand that they've already established. And that's what I did when I first came into my niche, was I saw the different brands that were out there and I could see how they were messing up, what they were doing wrong, and just coming in there and like doing things different and improving on all those systems that they pretty much didn't improve on.
Yeah, and I think another really easy way to bring back a saturated product or even a product that's currently trending right now is to think of another angle that the product can be presented. Like, I think one of the best examples of this in the last couple of years is BlendJet. Like, these guys, they took this product that was being advertised for kitchen and cooking and like health, and they turned it fully to fitness.
Yep.
They got all these fitness influencers. They started filming ads in the gym, and they crushed it because they promoted the product to a different angle that hadn't been hit. So this is really all that it takes when it comes to selecting a product. And now I kind of want to talk to you guys about creating a brand identity and a premium shopping experience, because the sad truth is that this is where a lot of dropshipping stores are falling short, and you're leaving massive amounts of money on the table by not doing this. Let me close that out real quick. So when it comes to creating a brand identity, really having a name and a logo that reflects directly on your product is key, because right away it establishes you as the authority for this product and creates trust in the mind of the customer. Because when you're shopping on a website, you as a consumer, the biggest thing that gets you to pull your credit card out and spend money is the trust factor. And when you came with designing your store, it wasn't that hard to create this identity, right? Like,
yeah,
it wasn't like...
No, not super hard. Honestly, as long as you really know the right things to do and you don't mess up on any of those things, it's a pretty simple process. It's not really like rocket science or anything like that. Like, it's just basically improving the stuff that you've already done in the past on a general store, for example, or, you know, say for example, there's another brand out there, improving what they already have built, and then that's how you establish your trust. And
yeah, and when it comes to the name, guys, like keep it simple. You know, don't use anything like 5 syllables, 6 syllables. Like, keep it super short, like one word, another word, or even just one word. Like, and we actually wanted to create an example for you guys just so you could have something to go off of. So we took this brand and this niche of like outdoor gear and apparel, and we just came up with this basic name of Summit Sector. So we took the word summit, which we knew fit with the niche, we knew fit with the demographic, and we just put it into a tool called Lean Domain Search. This is actually a really good tool because it's going to give you a bunch of suggestions on names that fit with that root word. And that's all we did. We found sector literally on the first page and then just made a simple and clean logo in Canva in like 2 minutes. So when it comes to the brand identity, I think a lot of people get too caught up on that. They get too nervous about it. I'm not a good designer. I'm not that creative, but it's really not that hard. And it does wonders for your conversion rate and for your brand. Now, let's talk a little bit about the shopping experience. So you can mention this a little bit about how your store is designed and how you went out there and did that.
So when you're designing your website, you don't want to really go super complicated with it. A lot of people try to do the craziest, coolest animations and stuff like that on their website. It's not really necessary at all. It's not anything you should really focus on. It's like, keep things extremely simple. Like, there's really no need for anything else. Like, anything on top of that's just gonna be fluff and like extra stuff that customers have to go through or look at or get distracted by. And you just want to keep things simple. They're easy to navigate, stuff like that. So things to keep in mind, the top priorities for a good shopping experience are going to be very high quality images and any sort of graphics you have on your website. You don't want anything low quality. You don't want it to look like it was taken with like, an iPhone 2 or something. Like, you want to make sure it was really like, taken professionally and in a good like lighting and like stuff like that. Like, you have to have an eye for content as well when you're doing that. Also, there's also tools online. You can really find high quality images that are copyright free.
Burst,
you can use
Shopify.
Burst. You can use Unsplash.com. Those are two really good ones if you're looking for like, pretty general images for your brand and stuff like that. Obviously, for product photos, it's a little bit different. But for stuff like that, you can just, go to any of those copyright-free websites and get an image that will go with your brand.
Even just ordering it yourself, guys, from Amazon and getting your iPhone. There's really nothing wrong with the iPhone. Just taking good photos.
Yeah.
Like, don't just grab the product in your hand and snap a picture. Like, go get, go to a beach. Go to somewhere cinematic, depending on what product you're selling, of course. Make it look clean and professional. And once again, it goes back to the trust factor. This thing does wonders for the trust in the mind of the customer.
Yep. Also, keeping in mind your page speed has to be really quick. If you have like a lot of videos or like the images you have aren't optimized, it's going to slow down the page speed. And when they're coming on your website, for example, they see your ad and they're clicking onto your website and it takes like 20 seconds to load. By then, like more than half the people that were going to try to buy your product are already gone, just because it took way too long. And slow internet is a very, very, very high killer of conversion rates, or even people who actually get onto your website. So optimize everything. Don't overcrowd the homepage. Don't overcrowd your landing page, whatever it is that people are clicking onto. Make sure things are optimized. You don't have any extra apps that you don't need, and you don't have any unoptimized images or GIFs or videos, anything like that.
Yeah.
So just optimize, clean up your landing page. Don't make it too complicated.
And we're going to show you guys an example of one that we created as well. And when it comes to the best themes, these are my favorite themes personally. I like Brooklyn a lot. I think it's like a staple theme in Shopify. It's always worked well for us. Debut is also really good because it's super fast. It's like one of the fastest themes that's out there. And one of my friends, Ricky Hayes, actually developed this theme called Debutify. It's actually like Debut on steroids. They added a bunch of things in there and kept the same page speed, so you can check that out. And then Turbo and Motion are some good paid themes as well, but you don't really need to use a paid theme unless you really feel like doing it. But let's actually take a look at this sample store that we created for the Summit sector. Let me just go ahead and pull this up here. I got it open on one of my tabs. Go down here. All right, so you guys can see this is just a very simple store that we created. I think it took me like 30 minutes to an hour to make this store. We took all the images from Burst, Shopify, and right off the bat, I mean, you can see we introduce it with some solid brand identity. We say that we're selling premium products curated by outdoor enthusiasts. We give them right off the bat what they're going to be receiving on this website, and then we just kind of organize things into collections. We give them a little bit of an introduction to our brand and what we stand for, and then this is kind of an example of a landing page that is semi-optimized. Remember, this is just a sample. This is not something that we're currently running ads to, but hopefully you can pull some inspiration from this as well. And you can see, we really want to have like high quality images here. We want to show the product being used. We want to show the product in a variety of situations. And you can see the copy here. Matt actually wrote this copy. And you could talk a little bit about your copywriting process as well.
Yeah, so the first part I'm going to talk about is like the upper section. First off, you want to have like a guarantee underneath your ads card button. I find that helps conversion rates by a lot. Also, having a clear headline that just basically gives the customer the main benefit of your product, like the main few benefits, maybe combined into a short sentence. But for example, like for this one, it was like the waterproof gloves. They're also very warm. They have a lot of insulation on them, so they're going to keep their hands from freezing and from getting wet. So that's a simple headline I came up with just to put on the top to hook readers into actually reading the product description. And then for a quick skim, you want to make sure that there are some GIFs. There are basically images that
keep it visual.
Yeah, you want to keep things visual because people respond better to content than they do to words. I think it's 16% of people read product descriptions versus 65% of people actually buy based off images and GIFs.
Yeah.
So that's something to keep in mind. That's something you want to really prioritize above almost even the copy.
And
obviously, everything has to be solid and optimized. But keep everything simple, short. Don't go writing a whole entire essay on your product description. Keep it short, highlight the main benefits, and then make it really easy for people to scan it, because people are going to scroll over it very quickly. They're not going to spend time reading it, and you want them to really understand how the product's going to benefit their life in the matter of 10, 15 seconds that they spend on your product page. And then if you convince them to buy, they're going to just click add to cart and then go through the rest of your funnel. So
right. Yeah, I think you guys just have to understand that people have very short attention spans, and optimizing your page and your website around that, along with the trust factor, goes a long way. But let's continue, because this entire case study is not about store design. We just really wanted to talk about that and talk to you guys about developing that premium shopping experience, because sadly, a lot of people are missing that.
Yep.
So the next thing that allowed Matt to scale to this level is developing a maximized product funnel. Now, when it comes to maximized product funnel, what we're talking about is getting the most money out of every single customer that comes to your website. Now, with a weak product funnel, which is 90% of businesses, unfortunately, you're typically going to be pulling in about 1 unit per order. And for this example, let's say you're having an average order value of around $20. This is going to work, but it's not going to be that scalable. And if somebody comes in there with a maximized funnel like Matt is running on his store, he's going to be able to beat you because he can spend more money profitably on ads. You're going to get outbid, and he's going to scale faster than you. For example, we're able to consistently pull in at least 2 units per order, sometimes 1, of course, but usually people buying at least 2-3 units when they shop, and this just doubles the AOV. And if you also implement a proper follow-up sequence to this, you're going to be seeing an additional 1 to 2 purchases from each customer. So what happens is that one customer doubles, triples in value, and you can comfortably spend more money to get these people because you know the money's going to come back around. Because listen, when the customer is in the buying mindset and they trust you, it takes nothing to sell them more and get them to come back and buy again. But only if the things are done properly and everything is maximized. So when it comes to building a maximized product funnel, Matt, could you talk a little bit about how you did that?
So like the main 3 components that I keep in mind when kind of building a maximized funnel and really getting the most I can out of a customer, you really want to have appealing bundle options on your product page. Something that you got to keep in mind is like if you have random upsells that are grouped together, nobody's going to want to buy that. So really knowing your target audience, knowing how people like different products people want to buy that are complementary to the product that they are already buying is super important in designing proper upsells. These are some apps you guys can use. You can use quantity breaks. You can use the combining similar products in a bundle. Yeah, it's like a variant basically that you have on your store. It's going to be like, you have 1 unit and then you have another variant saying like this unit and this product together in one for this discounted price.
Which actually works extremely well, especially if it's like a bundle of multiple products. Like one of my students right now is selling a knife, okay? And he has the knife as one of the variants, and then he has another variant that's a knife and a sharpener. And then he has another variant that's a knife, a sharpener, and a carrying case. So it's like it's adding value to the product and allowing you to sell it for even more money. The second thing that allowed Matt to scale is with post-purchase upsells. Now, there still isn't the perfect solution for an app for this, but these are 2 apps that have worked well for us, is Reconvert and Sweet Upsell. And when it comes to picking products for the post-purchase upsell, this is kind of what we like to do, doing the same product with a discount, only if it makes sense. If it's a product that has like one-time use or it's not a very good gift, you probably don't want to do that. But most times it makes sense to do something like that. And also supplementary products and complementary products. Now, supplementary means that if you're using the product, you need this upsell to make the best use of it. Like for example, this fire diffuser and these oils, you cannot use this product without the oils. And if you look at a store, it's called firediffuser.com. These guys are crushing it. I think they're ranked like 40 on the Shopify My IP. Like they're killing it. And this is a big reason why. They have this front end product, they sell a reoccurring oil subscription on the back end, and they just clean up. And then you have complementary products as well, and these just improve the function of the original product. So the knife with the sharpener is a great example of this. And then the last thing is an email and follow-up sequence. Now, we're not going to make this whole video about email marketing, but that could be an entire video in itself. But when it comes to your follow-ups, I mean, what are you guys kind of having set up?
It's not anything too complicated. You want to keep it simple, but mainly just hitting people with a lot of discounts and really getting them to want to buy again by giving them a good content, giving them like a good discount, giving them some sort of like loyalty program, stuff like that. Email is super important. I have post-purchase upsell sequences, which really help increase the customer return rate. People who buy are going to want to buy again just because they're already in that buying mood. Really having a good solid abandoned cart sequence is really good too. Having a customer win back sequence as well as a solid welcome series. Those are probably the 4 most important ones you guys have to have. I personally use Klaviyo for my emails, for all the email stuff. And then SMS Bump is super good. It's a really good app for text message, retargeting, text message, abandoned cart notifications. And then obviously anything like that, you can really target them through their phone. It pops up a lot sooner because a lot of emails, if they have a Gmail account.
It's like a 90% open rate.
Yeah, and also if they have a Gmail account, it's probably going to go to a promotions tab, generally, or a spam tab. So having, SMS Bump is going to send the notification right to their phone. They're going to get a text message right away. So.
Honestly, look, if you're running a store right now, you're making over $30K a month, hire somebody, outsource email marketing. You don't have to play every single role inside of your business, and having an expert doing it is an easy way to increase revenue. So this is probably what a lot of people came for. This is probably one of the things that gets people most excited is Facebook ads. But real quick, before we get started with the Facebook ad strategy, I just want to emphasize The thing that allows massive scale with Facebook ads is not some magical strategy, right? Like, can you go a little more on that?
So a lot of people definitely like overthink it when it comes to Facebook ads. They really think that you have to have some sort of secret special strategy when it comes to Facebook ads. But the truth is their platform, Facebook ads, has a really, really solid like algorithm. They have a really solid AI that works inside it to really get you the best results. You don't really have to have any sort of crazy, complicated something. It's really just giving Facebook the most leverage that you possibly can give them, the most freedom to really do what they can do. And that's with having a solid budget, really spending a lot with Facebook ads. And on top of that, really giving them a lot of like, solid interests that have a huge amount of people in them.
Not to mention, too, optimizing your platform, optimizing your store,
Exactly.
Doing what is actually in your control. A lot of people, they're looking for this strategy. They're hoping that the algorithm doesn't break, and they're not focusing on maximizing their store, optimizing their funnel as much as they possibly can. So when it comes to Facebook ads, this is what I'm talking about. If you do the things that we've mentioned before, Facebook ads become so much easier and more scalable. You're going to be getting higher conversion rates. You're going to be having higher margins and average order values. You're going to be getting repeat customers and organic traffic, which in a short term means that you can spend way more to acquire a customer profitably and beat your competition. And like Matt was just saying, the secret to really massively scaling the ads is building up data profitably and scaling with the data you've acquired. Like in terms of strategy, right? We're going to talk about it, but scaling from 10K a day to 40K a day, there's no secret to it.
Yeah, it's really not anything complicated. Like I said, it's like for me personally, scaling from 10K a day to 40K a day was the easiest part about running my entire brand. So keep that in mind. It's not some secret strategy. We're going to break it down in the next coming slides, but really keeping that in mind helps you kind of simplify things and not overthink it too much when you are running your Facebook ads.
Focus on the things we talked about previously, and you're going to see better results with your ads. And lastly, too, having custom content unlocks a whole new level of scale. Look, you could still go out there and test with AliExpress and YouTube content. That's totally fine, but be very careful scaling this because it's easy for somebody to just come straight up and compete with you. So how can you get custom content done? Well, my team can actually help you do this. There's not going to be some big sales pitch right now, but if you want to book a call down below, we can definitely talk and help you with that. We only really work with established stores though. So for those who are not really established and crushing it, I would just say do it yourself with your phone. That's what you did.
Yeah, honestly, in the very beginning, that's what I did. I just had my iPhone, which is an iPhone 10, and basically just shot the content myself. I had a good eye for it too, though. I did a lot of research. I looked at my competition, kind of saw what they were doing, took inspiration from that, but did it my own way as well, so I could really hit customers in a different way as well.
Yeah, and e-com vids is also a good option. There's a ton of companies out there. I think there's one that's called like Tingly Media. I'm not going to sit here and give all these promotions away. I don't know these companies. I haven't worked with these companies except for e-com vids. And also there's this China video firm. I think it's called 86 Vids. Once again, haven't worked with them. I would honestly recommend just doing it yourself and studying your niche. So Matt's going to talk to you guys about the data acquisition strategy that he used to launch this thing, and then we're going to talk about the scaling strategy separately.
So when you first start out, it's really important to build on a solid foundation. Like I said, if you've really optimized your store, you've optimized your brand, you've done everything you can to really maximize the funnel that you have created, and you know that when people come onto your website, they're not going to just leave right away because you have done the front end work of actually building a solid system, building a solid foundation on your store side of things. So when you start running Facebook ads, it's important to kind of like go a little bit slower. I see people trying to go from 0 to 100K a month in the first month, when that's like, it works for some people, but I recommend personally, this is what I did. I went from 0 to 30K a month in the first month, and then I went from 30K to 50K, and then 50K to 100K. It took about 3 months to scale it to six figures.
Slow and sustainable.
Yeah, but it was way more slow. I got a lot more consistent results. It was way more profitable as well. I know if I tried to scale up very quickly, I could have run into a lot of problems that would have, really set me back further. But when you scale up slowly, you're kind of just like figuring out the holes as you go along, and you're seeing like the problems in your business, fixing those as you go along. And not only that, but your ads are going to be a lot more consistent when you do scale slower. So the first thing I did was I basically spent about a week and a half to 2 weeks just creating as many different creatives as I possibly could. I think I had like 5 different ads at the end of it. But the result was basically super optimized creatives that I'd spent a lot of time, a lot of, research into creating. So I knew they were going to perform well when I did test them out. So what I did was I basically created a PPE campaign for the first 2, and then another video views campaign for the other 2, just to test out the differences in between them.
And build data.
Yeah, just build data. That's all you're going to be doing. So I set them at about, I think it was like a $30 a day budget. And that basically allowed the data to start getting accumulated. It was the very first, layer of the foundation, so to speak, in your Facebook ads, just getting that first initial data coming in, like the vet website visitors, a couple add to carts, you might get a couple sales from that too, but typically you're just going to see a lot of website visitors. But that allows you to basically, after about 2 to 3 days, you're going to be able to start creating your custom audiences, which are the 75% video views, the 95% video views, and the view content. Those are going to be the first 3 custom audiences that you can create lookalike audiences for. And that's how I began to scale up my brand from 0 to 1K a day, was basically creating those different lookalike audiences and then testing them out with actual conversion campaigns. So after that initial testing phase, like I said, you should probably know which creative is performing the best. I found my best creative after testing about, I think it was like 3 or 4 of them. I found my best one that was working the best, so I ended up putting that into a campaign, which was a CBO campaign. I put it at $100 a day. I put 4 ad sets inside that with the one creative that I tested that did the best. And then basically what I did was I used the same post ID, and then that ended up taking me from, I wasn't making anything at that time, from making nothing to about, I think it was like $250 to $300 a day. Consistently for about a couple days. I let that run for about 2 to 3 days, and during that entire period, I tested out a couple more different CBOs, found 2 more that were winning, and that got me to about a $300 a day budget, which got me to 1K a day in sales.
So a quick recap for the people out there. The starting phase is to test and figure out which creative is working the best and acquire some data. After you figure out that creative and you have your data acquired, you take those lookalike audiences and you test those with a CBO campaign. And from there, that's going to give you that foundation. It's going to give you that leverage on your competition. And it's going to allow you to unlock a level of scale that's consistent because you're going at it with audiences that nobody else has, right?
Keep in mind too that like when I did launch those and I was doing about 1K a day, I didn't really touch it. I kind of left it alone for about 5 to 7 days, and just let it run, let the data accumulate, see how it did, see how consistent it was. Really, just like you don't want to rush things. Like when you do rush things and you try to like double the budget or like go, like I said, from 0 to 3K a day ad spend or something like that, you're gonna see very inconsistent results because your pixel is pretty new to the niche still, and it's not gonna really know like the best way to reach your customers, who in that specific interest to target to really get them to buy. So that's something to keep in mind.
And we see this like time and time again. People jump in and they just try to blow things up right away. And it can work, but it usually doesn't sustain. And building it up this way allows you to sustain. So when it comes to the scaling strategy, we like to call this the nuclear strategy because it can get pretty ridiculous. I remember Matt sending me a text message of his 43K a day. And it was literally like only 2 weeks prior to that you were doing like 10, 15K a day. So I think it's pretty nuclear. Could you talk about that?
Yeah. So like I said, you got to scale slower in the beginning. Don't go super crazy with the ad spend. Let it run for a consistent period of time. I personally, when I first started, let my ads run for about a week. If they started to die out, I would recycle new ads into that and just keep it consistent at $300 a day budget. And then after that, it took about a month before. I mean, this is the very, very beginning phase. I took a month before I really went from $300 a day to about, I think I scaled up to, at first it was $500 a day after 2 weeks, and then it was $1,000 a day after an entire month.
So it's a gradual.
It's a very gradual, build up to the eventual nuclear scale that you're going to be seeing. But that really allows your data to accumulate properly. It allows everything to basically scale up the proper way so that when you do, up the budget, you do launch a bunch of new creatives, it's very consistent. That's what I did. So I spent a lot of time at the beginning getting everything pretty much solidified, everything consistent. And then after that, I basically just started launching a bunch of CBO campaigns. I was doing $300 a day budgets, sometimes $500 a day budgets. But what I like to do is when I first launch a CBO, I don't touch it after I launch it. So I'm going to put 4 different ad sets inside that inside that campaign. I'm going to put 2 creatives underneath each ad set, obviously using the same post ID for every one. And that basically gives me an entire CBO with a lot of budget. It gives Facebook a lot of room to basically, it basically gives them a lot of freedom to find your ideal customer. Right. And I found that to work the best. There's different strategies out there, but there's a personal strategy that I use that have really got me the best results I've ever seen.
And it makes sense, because that algorithm is designed to split test. And when you give it as many options as it can to split test, that's when you're going to see the best results.
Yeah, 100%. That's really when you see the best results. I use auto placements on my ads. I use big interest. I don't really stack anything crazy. I don't do super complicated stuff. I pretty much like to target really broad, really broad, versus super narrow. And I found that to work the best. So keep in mind, once you do that, you want to let these things run. You don't want to keep launching new stuff. I typically, if I'm going to launch about I'm probably going to launch like 3 to 4 campaigns at $300 a day in a typical day. I'll let those run for about 3 to 5 days. And then I'll launch, if those stay consistent, I'll launch another, 3 to 5 of those campaigns and just keep scaling up like that. And that's really what allowed me to go. I think I was doing about, like Jordan said, like 10K a day. And then in a matter of like 2 weeks, I was doing 40K a day.
Boom,
just by, doing that over and over and over and over and over again, recycling that same strategy over and over again. Yeah. And that just really allows you to get up to a crazy level with scale. And I could have scaled even higher than that, but I decided to leave it at the level I wanted to leave it at, improve my systems, and just,
which is the right way.
Exactly. Like get ready to scale for another level, which is this year.
Yeah, exactly. And, this is a strategy you guys can go out there and implement too. This is not some foreign stuff, but it really was able to happen because you did the work prior to this. Mm-hmm. It's not like you guys can just go in and plug this in right away and you're going to be hitting 40K a day. Yeah. Implementing the other things is so crucial. And there's another piece to it as well with the retargeting, but we're not even going to go into that on this video. This video will end up being an hour and 30 minutes. So in the fifth component, we're going to talk about fast drop shipping and custom packaging. How can you set up this infrastructure inside of your business? Because this is really the thing that's crippling most e-commerce stores nowadays. So when it comes to just starting out, if you can't buy inventory right away, which is probably like 80% of you guys watching this video, it's totally fine to start out with dropshipping directly from somebody in China. And if you're just testing, if you're just trying to find something that's working, you can use AliExpress, but be very careful with scaling. And Matt kind of has a better approach with this to finding cheap and fast fulfillment when you're just getting started out.
So what I personally did was I'm going to go ahead and message about 10 to 20 of the best sellers, like the top sellers of the product. They have to get a lot of orders. They have to have a high rating for the product. So there's different criteria. Those are the two main ones I look at. Make sure they're doing a high volume of orders and they have a big factory, because a lot of people, if you message them, they have a small factory. They're going to want to work for you right away because that's extra business for them. But if they're not developed along the way, they're not going to be able to provide you with the best product, the best shipping times, the best delivery times, everything like that. So what I do is I'm going to message about 10 to 20 of the top sellers of that product, find them through AliExpress, and then basically just add them on Skype. I continue communication there, and then I basically tell them all the different requirements for the product. I tell them, this is the custom packaging I want, this is the type of quality, this is the type of material I want in my product, everything like that. And then I basically ask them like, hey, what's your fastest shipping method you can possibly get for me? And a lot of them are able to get you a lot faster shipping methods than the regular ones they offer on AliExpress. I found a supplier that could get me 6-day shipping to the U.S., which was super helpful at scale because I was able to deliver my orders in a timely manner, and they weren't taking a whole month to arrive, which is the biggest problem that people have with e-com. People who are dropshipping from China, and I found this strategy to work the best when you're trying to cut that shipping time in half or even less than that, and really not sacrifice, having to put down a lot of money on inventory or anything like that. So what I like to do also is just ordering a sample directly to my house.
Nobody does this either.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of people don't do that, but that's a very basic thing you should be doing. It's just like, order it, with the fastest shipping method they told you they could get you, and just test it out, see if it works, see if it's actually as fast as they tell you. And then obviously make sure they know how to properly package your orders. This is something a problem I ran into last year was they were shipping out my products. Even though they had a custom box around it, they were shipping it out in a plastic bag. So by the time I got to the customer, the custom box was already damaged. It was like, poor condition. So if somebody wanted to give it as a gift to their friend, they couldn't even do that anymore because the box looked too ugly. It was like,
you guys gotta have patience with this process too.
Yeah,
I think it's 100%. One thing to watch this video, get all excited and like, oh, I can get fast shipping now, but like this takes time, okay? Yeah. And that's why I said it's fine to just use AliExpress when you first getting going. That way you can get some traction, but make sure you're doing this every day until you can lock that down. I mean, you probably went through a couple of suppliers first.
Yeah, I went through about 3 different suppliers before I found the one that's gonna work that worked the best for me at the time.
Yeah, so let's talk about the next steps, and we're going to touch on this briefly. This can be a whole video in itself, and if this is something that you guys want to see, let me know in the comments. If you guys want to know more about U.S. fulfillment, Matt is actually going all in on this right now, just did a huge order. But talk about the next steps from China and how to get things as fast as you possibly can and high as quality as you possibly can.
Yeah, so the next step after, pretty much if you're already ahead of that stage, you have some capital, you have some traction with your brand, you're able to consistently see results. The next step I would say would be one of these two options. If you're doing about 30K to 100K a month, you can go with the first option, which is the China-based fulfillment center. It's pretty much going to cut out your processing time for orders. They really get orders out very quickly. And generally, these fulfillment centers have very fast shipping lines. They're able to get their products over here, very quickly in 5 days or whatever. It could be 4 or 5 days. It's going to be an average. I've seen an average of 6 to 8 days on orders. So it's not going to be, the U.S. fulfillment that you're going to get. But it is going to be faster than ordering from a supplier in
And you
China.
have more control too. I
Yeah.
think that's a big piece of it. With a lot of these guys that are fulfilling from AliExpress, it's like send the money and pray to God.
Yeah, pretty much. That's what happens. And not a very good way to run your e-commerce store. You want to make sure you're really in your business and really just optimizing all the systems to make sure they work very good. And like I said, average delivery time is going to be about 6 to 10 days. I think average is about, like 6 to 8 days for orders to get to the U.S., which is okay, but remember that people in the U.S. are, they're used to Amazon 2-day delivery, 1-day delivery, so they're still not going to be as they'll understand, but like it's not going to be as good. You want to really increase that premium customer experience and have them really in love with your brand and know that if they were to order your product on the last minute notice, it could get to them in time, and it's not going to take 10 days for it to get there. So the U.S.-based fulfillment center, that's what I recommend. That's personally what I'm doing right now. I have a U.S.-based fulfillment center. I have 2-day shipping on my orders. That's something you need to do when you're scaling up beyond 6 figures a month.
It's very expensive.
Yeah, it's really expensive. It's probably the more expensive option, but keep in mind too, when you are ordering products in bulk, you're getting a cheaper price for the product than if you're just drop shipping it. So that does help with cost. It does help kind of like even it out a little bit, but keep in mind it is going to be more expensive.
It increases the value across the board though, and it allows you to scale with much more confidence. And this is something that, like I said, is only really worth it if you guys are doing like at least like $70K a month. It doesn't have to be $100K a month, but you need to be cranking consistently before moving forward with this.
Yeah, I agree with that. Make sure you do have a good amount of capital. You don't want to use up all your capital putting it into inventory and then just hoping that it sells, because a lot of people do that and then they get stuck with inventory that's just not selling at a good rate. Yeah. So having that momentum, that's why I recommend going into these different fulfillment centers after you're at a certain level, like 30K a month, 100K a month, stuff like that, because that really helps you keep the snowball going, and really just like building on what you've already built and just improving the systems and stuff like that. So US-based fulfillment center is super important. Make sure that you do have that as the ultimate goal for what your brand is trying to accomplish.
Absolutely. And listen, I know a lot of people are going to be in the comments like, what's your supplier? What's your agent? What's your fulfillment center? Okay, if we were to give that out to thousands of you guys, what's going to happen is that it's going to be an influx for these suppliers and it's going to be tough. We do have a direct connection for all of these. We have a good Chinese supplier. We have a good agent. We have a good US fulfillment. But we only give this to the people in our inner circle. So if you're interested in getting into that circle, just book a call down below. You can talk with me. We can talk more about it. But otherwise, just do your own research. You can find solutions. Matt found his own solution. I found all of my own solutions. So you can do it yourself. Okay, so the last piece, and we're going to wrap this video up on this point, is unlocking true scale. The thing that allows your company to just reach this next level. And that is repeat customers and WOM, word of mouth advertising. The two things that most dropshipping businesses do not have at all.
Don't get it.
And this is really the catalyst to unlocking that true scale and the exit potential for your brand. Because if you guys go out there and you properly implement everything we mentioned before, your business is going to unlock this massive stream of revenue and scale will be easier than ever before. Like, you could talk about these numbers right here, which is pretty insane to think about. Like,
so like I said, you want to be when you're creating a brand, the thing is it's more like you're investing into a company versus like burning money in a general store, because like, with a general store, you're just acquiring, or like even a niche store, people who don't really optimize their systems. Yeah, you're just getting a customer, getting another customer, and you're just having to spend the same amount of money, sometimes even more money, just to acquire this, the same amount of money that's coming in. So you're not really going to see any massive scale with that. You're going to see, returning customers. You're not going to see free money coming back. You're not going to see any sort of that stuff happening. So that's on the low end. In December, we had about a 6% customer return rate, which wasn't as good as we were seeing before.
This month, it's actually like 40%.
Yeah, it's like 40%. It's pretty crazy. But yeah, so with a 7% return rate, we did about $36,000 extra revenue. That's with 0 ad spend. So we had like 80% margins on that, because all we had to pay for was the cost of goods, So that's really what allows you to unlock true scale for your brand, is having that repeat customer come back. If I shut off all my ads today, I'd still be doing $1 to $2K a day with no ad spend. That's like, almost $800 to $1,500 a day profit. So keep that in mind. That's something that you really, that's one of the biggest benefits you're going to see from really creating a brand and doing things the right way.
But the only way that you're going to be able to get this is if you implement everything that we talked about before. And I'm going to run through some basic numbers for you real quick. Like, let's say you were going out there, you got 1,000 customers last month. You provided a great customer experience for them, fast shipping, custom packaging, a high quality product, and just 10% of them came back to buy another one and told their friends. You're going to be able to increase your revenue a minimum of $5,000 without spending a penny on ads. And you guys saw the numbers that Matt brought in. And this year, it's going to be even more insane. Think about, it was 12,000, almost 13,000 customers in December. Those people are going to tell their friends. Those people are going to come back to buy again. And it literally activates a snowball effect. So guys, These are the 6 components that went into the process of scaling this branded store. And we hope that you guys found massive value from this training. We tried to share as much as we possibly can. Matt was very generous with you guys and shared his exact Facebook strategies and everything that went into scaling the brand. So Matt, is there any closing things that you want to talk about? We have a couple more slides, but is there any closing things you want to talk about this?
Keep in mind, if you are running e-commerce business and you haven't really implemented any of this stuff yet, I highly recommend doing it, just because dropshipping is only getting more and more competitive. You know, the stuff that was selling 2 years ago on a general store isn't selling anymore, and it's only going to keep increasing in that, you know, the bar of entry is getting higher and higher and higher. So if you do this stuff right away, you're going to be ahead of everybody else who's in the game right now, because a lot of people still haven't caught on to this. They really haven't woken up to the fact that dropshipping is going to burn out eventually. People are not going to want to come back and buy from a store that, you know, takes a month to get their product.
People are also becoming very conscious of what a dropshipping store is and what it looks like. Like modern consumers, like my mom, my sister, my friends, like they can spot these things. Like it's very clear to them, and you guys need to be on top of these things. So listen, if you want Matt and I to personally coach you with this and help you with this process, there's a link down below where you can book a call with me directly. I'm gonna step in, I'll kind of do a diagnosis of your business just like I did with Matt's, and we'll figure out how you can scale this thing and turn it into a brand. I mean, how big of a help was it for you, Matt, when you had kind of help and coaching in this process?
I mean, it was like a huge like difference. If I didn't have any help at all, I would have been pretty much like lost. There were things I knew about it, but I would have been a lot more lost throughout the process of like building my brand. And really just having that guidance like in the very beginning allowed me to cut the learning curve a lot shorter. I didn't waste as much money as I would have if I was completely alone. And I also wouldn't have taken me, you know, it took me a good amount of time to get it going, but it would have taken me a lot longer if I didn't have anybody, you know, telling me like, you know, how to do things, or like giving me advice and giving me a second perspective, you know, a second like very high level advice on what I'm already doing.
Absolutely. Well, guys, that's all for this video. Dude, killed it. Extreme value for the people. If you guys want to check out my boy Matt on Instagram, the link to follow him is going to be down below. He's not really active on there, but you drop some bombs every once in a while. You drop some value for the people. But you guys know I'm not very active on Instagram either. I'm kind of away from social media for now. But that's all we have for this video. And to my subscribers and people that have been following my channel, I just want to let you guys know that I'm back. I'm going to be posting videos again for you guys consistently, and there's nothing that makes me more happy to say than that. I've been neglecting this channel for quite some time to focus on my software company and focus on helping scale this store. But the fact of the matter is, you guys have been asking me nearly every single day for a new video, and I'm here to deliver. So if you guys want to see more content from me, just hit a like and leave a comment down below on what you want to see in particular. And I'm coming back in 2020 with a bang. I'm super excited to speak to some of you guys on the phone as well. You can just click the link down below to book a call with me. That's all I have for now, guys. Hit that subscribe button, leave a like, leave a comment, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.